Sharon and I went out for the church camping excursion up to the Northern Highlands, American Legion primitive camping. No showers, no flush toilets. Well, we brought our camper and a solar generator, so we actually weren't all that primitive. Yes. But it was lovely getting to hang out with good people out in nature, look at the stars at night. We took this little excursion one night out onto the lake. They take 2 canoes and they strap them together with wood, a platform, and then you put lawn chairs on it. What could go wrong? And they call it the barge. And I think there was maybe 8 of us, or 12 maybe, on this. And we rode around the lake in the middle of the night, and it was glorious. Absolutely amazing. Y'all need to come next year. And to sort of cap off our time together, we went into Boulder Junction, into town, and went out for a dinner, fish fry, on Friday night. And we decided, since they had some live music, we would walk down the street to the live music. And when we got there, it started to rain. Not just a little rain, a lot of rain. And so there was a house with this light on, and we ran into it, not realizing it was a bar. Somebody has a house, and they run a bar out of it. And so we sat and had a beer and waited for the rain to stop, and waited for the rain to stop. And then on the way out, I saw this little realty thing, and I picked it up. Wondering if some realtor selling stuff around here. Like to see how much stuff is worth, love that. And when we got in the car, we realized this house / bar is for sale. And for about an hour, we thought, what would it be like to own a bar? Then we came to our senses. We don't want to do that. I mean, it's kind of like being a pastor. You're giving alcohol up every week, right? All right, not quite like it, but anyway, it was a good week, a lot of fun. Any announcements for the good of everyone? Anyone? All right. It's not the one you have been given. As I was preparing for this sermon, there was just nothing there. I was like, wow. Well, show me what I should say then. So I went a few chapters before and a few chapters after, and I found something. And now I'm really excited about it, so I'm going to preach all afternoon. It's raining anyway, so. But the new scripture, and it fits into our theme, is the giving of the 10 Commandments from Exodus 20. I'm sure you have it memorized, but if not, I'll just read it. Then God spoke these words, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, For the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. And you shall not do any work. You and your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, but rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath and consecrated it. Honor your father and mother, so that your days may be long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female slave, ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Did you memorize the Ten Commandments in confirmation or Sunday school? Do you think we could list them now? What is the first one? No other gods. The second one, not take the Lord's name in vain. Third one, remember the Sabbath. My favorite, the fourth one, honor your father and mother. I teach that to my kids all the time. Fifth one, you shall not kill. 6, nope. You shall not commit adultery. 6 and sex sound alike. That's how I remembered it in confirmation, even though I didn't know what sex was. 7, you shall not steal. 8, you shall not bear false witness. I remember that one because if you take an 8 and you draw a couple of eyes, it looks like a bear. 9, do not covet your neighbor's wife. And 10, do not covet your neighbor's stuff. That's the Lutheran version. All right. So God gave the law, the Ten Commandments, to Moses on Mount Sinai, and we passed them down, and then we translate them. And you probably learned the King James Version of the Ten Commandments. Maybe we all did at a certain point. And the Ten Commandments in the King James Version are very negative. Thou shalt not. Well, I was reading a Jewish rabbi named Rabbi David Foreman, if you want to look that up. He's really good. He's on YouTube and on TikTok and on Facebook. These tiny little pieces that make you think. And I found one of them. And so I went to his webpage and I found the whole thing, and he even emailed me some notes on the Ten Commandments. But what he says is that the Ten Commandments and another story from Genesis are linked so closely. In over 25 places, the wording of the Hebrew words in sentences are exactly the same. In the Hebrew Bible, that's not a coincidence. That means maybe you should look at this other story to help you understand this story, and vice versa. You're all wanting to know what story it is. So was I. It is the story of Jacob and Esau. If you don't remember the story of Jacob and Esau, there's 2 brothers, they're twins. And as they're coming out of the womb, Jacob is first, but his brother grabs his ankle and pulls it back in, and then pushes himself out so he could be the first. That couldn't have been a fun pregnancy. So Esau was a big, as the Bible describes it, kind of dumb and hairy boy, and his brother was smooth and fine and smart or cunning. And in Hebrew culture, the firstborn gets the blessing, and the second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever born, they kind of get the scraps. But it is the firstborn who carries on the name, and the firstborn who inherits the household. I think this story is a metaphor for the Jews who came into the promised land, came about not the first ones there, but as kind of the lower, much younger brother, not going to inherit anything. And their whole story as a nation can fit into that mode. If you look at the Hebrew Bible over and over and over again, it's not the firstborn, but the secondborn, or the lastborn, that makes a big difference in the people. So when it's time for Jacob and Esau to get Isaac's blessing, Jacob tricks his brother into going out and hunting some game for his father's dinner. And his mom makes his clothes. She sews some skin together from an animal and puts it on his arms. So he has hairy arms like his brother. And his mom sends him in with a meal, a game that was already prepared. And Isaac says, wow, how did you get this done so quickly? And the first time God's name is used, and the first time bearing false witness, two of the commandments, and they're written as identically as they are later in the commandments. His father, or he says to his father, the Lord your God, the God of Israel, has provided this for me. Oh, well, it must be true then. It was on the internet. No, that came in. And so his father reaches out and touches his arms, and he deceives his father into giving him the blessing. So why is this story so connected? You'll have to wait till the end to figure that out. But as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about the rules that we have in our households. What is one of the rules you had in your household as a child? Didn't follow the rules. Take your dirty plate to the sink. All right. Anybody else have that rule? A couple people, yeah? So, what is behind that rule? Is it laziness on your parents' part? They don't want to have to take your dirty plate to the sink? Maybe. What might it be? They want you to grow up to be a responsible person. Why? Because they love you. And responsible people have better lives. It's true. What's another rule you had growing up? You have to go to bed at 8 o'clock when you're little. Or you have to take a nap. Why? Because your parents need time after you go to bed? Probably. But that's not the reason why. The reason why is because you need sleep to be a healthy kid. If you stay up all night, you burn the candle at both ends as a kid, you get sick. And as an adult. So behind the rules, a lot of times, rationale. And I would hope that growing up, the rationale of parents is loving. They want the best for their kids. They want their kids to grow up healthy and happy and responsible. Well, that got me thinking about the Ten Commandments. Is there a way to look at those and try to figure out what is behind them? The first one, you shall have no other gods before me. Well, if you think about it, at the time in the ancient Near East, there were gods. Every nation had gods. And you could go to the marketplace and you could get a little carved statue of some god and bring it into your home, and then you could communicate through this little wooden statue to the god that it represented, apparently. I mean, if that God existed, you could do it. That was the point. When God says, do not have any other gods, and do not create any idols, any graven images, what God is saying is, I want a relationship with you directly. What if God is saying, you don't need to go through something to reach me? In fact, our scripture started off with God identifying himself by saying, I am the God who brought you out of slavery, out of the land of Egypt. I mean, that's kind of playing yourself down a little bit. You created the entire universe. And yet, God goes for something far more personal and close. God says, I am the God who brought you out of slavery. I heard the cries of your people, and I responded. Honoring the Sabbath day. What is behind that? Do we have a God that has to be worshipped because he's really insecure? What if God is saying, you are more than the sum total of your work? You are enough. Take one day and sit back and just be. Just be enough. Realize that I love you, not for all the things you can do, or that you do, but because you're you. By honoring the Sabbath day, we see ourselves the way God sees us, as enough. Next time you go to a cocktail party, and some fancy guy from accounting comes over and says, so what do? You can say, oh, I don't measure what I do. I don't measure who I am by what I do. He might go, okay, nice to meet you. I think someone's calling my name over here. Or maybe, if he was a real interesting guy, he might go, that is awesome. I haven't thought about that before. We are so easily tempted to measure ourselves by what we produce, or what we've accomplished, or achieved, or amassed. But the Sabbath day says, take a day and just be you, whatever that looks like. Honor your father and mother. That one's already kind of positive. But there is an ending on it, and it says, so that your days may be long upon the earth in the land that I have given you. So to respect your parents, respect the sacrifices they made in bringing you up, all the ways that they went out of their way to make your life healthy and meaningful. The other thing, Your kids are the ones who will get to choose your nursing home. And they're watching. If you take care of your parents, your kids will take care of you. Number 5, you shall not kill. What God is saying in this commandment is that everyone matters. There is no one that we can just discard. All people have value. People who are Jewish, people who are not Jewish, people who are Christian or not Christian, people who are even terrible people. Bob from County. They all are children of God. And not just people, but all of creation. There's nothing that says we are not connected all to each other and to nature, to the world. And we're connected to God through all of those relationships. They all matter. 6, my favorite commandment. We call it, thou shalt not commit adultery. But actually what it meant was, as God, I want you to have the kind of loving relationship I can't give you. With another person who has hands and a face and a body. Someone who can love you intimately. Don't screw that up. As a pastor, I've had relationships with a lot of people at the end of their life. And some of them had one great love of their life. And when that was over, they knew, I will never love again that way. Or maybe it was such a bad relationship, who would ever want to do that again? Or maybe, and many of them, decide, that was so amazing, I really want to try and find that again. There's no right way, there's no one option for people. Finding enough in yourself is enough. And then we get to do not steal. Again, we are all connected. Stealing from someone is stealing from ourselves. It takes away from our dignity. And then we get to do not covet. And this is where the Jacob and Esau story comes in. What this means is do not put on someone else's skin. Do not wear someone else's life. Do not covet what someone else has that you don't have. Don't try to get it. Whatever life you have and you have been given is enough. Learn to be content. As Americans, that hits pretty hard. From day one, we're taught to look at what everyone else has. Theodore Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy. When you look at the reason behind the Ten Commandments, they seem less like arbitrary rules we have to follow. And they seem much more like a love letter from God, who tells us we are enough. We can live in our own skin and love and be connected to one another.